What's up, Fit Fam? This is Giovanni of Gio's Logic, your host of Fitness Junkeez. Today we have a great show, but before that, I hope this show meets you in good health and spirits, and if not, I'm sure this show is going to inspire you to do something about it. Because my guest here is a coach of coaches, an entrepreneur, another fellow podcast host, Sean Alexander. How are you, buddy?
Good, Gio. How are you, man?
Good.
Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
No, I'm really excited. We've been talking about this for weeks now.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too, to be honest.
And when I first met you, you really blew me away because, you talk about your look and then what comes out of it. A lot of times many people have preconceived notions of who you are and what you're about to say, and your mind is as strong as your body looks.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very nice of you.
Yeah. Another thing that I noticed was, I believe we have similar mentors and people that we look to. I think, and you might even be on another level, but before we get into all that, let's hear about your fitness journey. How did you start? And we can go as far back as you want to go.
Sure. I mean, the short version of it is I grew up in a very toxic, dysfunctional, destructive family, super abusive, physically, emotionally. My father used to beat the shit out of me all the time. And then over the course of X amount of years of dealing with depression because of that, I got heavily into drugs. I was using, there wasn't even 5 minutes that would go by where I wasn't high.
Wow.
And a common question people ask me, well, what was your choice of drug? There was 3. My choice of drugs was cocaine, weed, and acid, regularly. I experimented and had fun with everything else. There's a couple things I just did not like, so I never really got too far into them. But those 3 that I just mentioned were my regular daily choices.
Wow.
And I was addicted for. I'm still an addict. I'm always going to be an addict, but I'm no longer a drug addict. And I was using for almost a decade, and pretty much had zero childhood without being sober. So
Wow.
From 12 till almost 21, I was using.
Wow, so young.
Yeah. So there's that whole childhood, my entire teen years. I just realized that my entire teen years was all using the entire time.
And how? Okay, that doesn't make sense because you're an intelligent person. Like, you must have gone to school and picked up something.
I always had this dream of, being an attorney, going to law school. I wanted to go to corporate law. I guess some people say I'm talented when it comes to debate and communication. And one thing I say is my self-awareness was always on point, even at a young age. It was very weird. And I think I had developed that right away because of what I went through with my family and the child abuse. It kind of just honed in on my senses because that's all I can do, and just be weary of everything around me, the people around me, the family members, because no one protected me. And so I had to figure out a way to escape reality. And so while I was using, I was still aware of just the things that were going on, but I just didn't care about life anymore. I hated my family. I hated my parents. I hated my sister. I hated my relatives. Everyone was judging me because I was using, but no one was looking at the raw reason of why is he using? Why is he down this path?
Right.
Mom and dad are abusive. Sister's abusive. Depression. But instead, I'm getting judged for using, as opposed to is there any way we can help him out?
And where was this? Where were you growing up?
This is in California.
Okay.
So then, and I wasn't afraid to die. And that's why I was using so heavily, because I was like, if I die, I die. If I don't, I don't. But, I just didn't care. I just wanted to escape reality. And then at some point, I would say almost every addict goes through this. It got to a point where I started to really wanting to die. And so I became suicidal and made a couple attempts. And I just kind of had this awakening moment, and I was like, you know what? I deserve a chance. And then the rest became history from that point. And I just submerged myself into personal growth, developing, rewiring my brain. How can I channel my addiction to healthy obsessions? That's been my slogan forever, especially when I work with people that are in the mental health sector, is changing your addictions to healthy obsessions. That's been my slogan, and I live by that. Yeah. And then, like I said, I just submerged myself into that world and got into health and fitness and nutrition just for the sole purpose of getting myself healthy, because I was so self-destructive and that self-talk was just so bad that I knew, let me do the exact opposite of what I had done the last 10 years. So I'm going to go from using drugs to just getting completely healthy. And I went all in. And I never relapsed, which when I speak to a lot of addicts, they try to say like, well, you're not an addict. Addicts always relapse. Well, not all relapse. No. And for me, because I wasn't afraid to die and because I was suicidal, I got a funny saying about it. I made a deal with the devil when I chose to get sober, and I made a pact and took an oath to myself that if I relapse, I'm going to put my gun in my mouth and pull the trigger. Wow. And that stuck to me. It wasn't just some like saying, and I didn't tell anybody about that either. Just something that I held very close to my heart and in my mind, where I'm going to pull through this, because if I don't, I'm not going to hesitate on pulling the trigger either. And that was kind of my foundation of don't relapse, work on yourself all the time. And I isolated myself from most people that I was growing up with. I had to. I isolated myself. I stayed out of a relationship for about 1.5 years. And I just knew that I had to be around very successful people that were making great money, living great lives. And that helped expand my horizons and expand my mind, and how and where to channel my energy and my thoughts. And, and the rest became history.
Nice. So I teach and I believe that pain is a great motivator.
100%.
What, if you can dial it down to, what was the day or the thing that finally got you to say enough?
So I woke up and I was like, I'm fucking sick and tired of being sick and tired. Am I allowed to cuss?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. I woke up and, when you've been using for so long and doing it a lot, it eventually catches up where you really are just sick all the time. You don't feel good. You feel like shit. And the only way you don't feel like shit is by, using more. Right. So it's this endless cycle. It's a black hole. But I just got to the point where I'm just like, I'm tired of feeling this way. And I realized like I'm more depressed than I was before I started using, because I was just so in deep. And I was about to turn 21, and I'm like, I don't want to live. I don't care to see 21. And I was about to jump out my my second story bedroom, and there was a glass table like right below my room in the backyard, and I just knew I'm going to face dive into this thing and call it a day. Like I said, I wasn't afraid. And then as I'm getting ready to, I was just in my thoughts, regretting everything about life, hating life, and I guess these were the chips this was the cards that I was dealt, and I'm just going to go ahead and call it a day. And I had an awakening right before I was about to do it. And, whatever you believe in, I felt like God came to me and spoke to me. It was like, Sean, it's not your time yet, and you deserve a chance. You've had no childhood at all. Wow. From getting beaten to drugs. There was no normalcy from 4 years old till almost 21. Everything was destructive, abusive, very toxic. So I was like, okay, if that thought just entered my head, then I should listen to it for a second here. And then I just I sat there with my legs dangling out the door and out the window. And I was probably there for like a couple hours. Mom's at work. and I'm just kind of deep in my thoughts. I'm sweating, I'm crying, confused. And I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. So I went back in, pulled out a notebook, and I just started to write everything. My thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, how much I hated my life, what my life was like. I basically pretty much like almost wrote a book, but just in words of everything. It was like 20 pages. And I sat there for like half a day and just kind of filled the whole damn notebook out so I can put everything on paper and then try to figure out like, let me try to dissect this and see how the hell am I going to start, because I don't trust anybody. I didn't trust family members. I didn't trust my parents. I didn't trust friends because they're all shitty anyways.
Right.
And I didn't trust doctors. I didn't trust therapy. And we can go into that if you want to. So I was like, okay, well, no one's going to help me out. So it's either up to me or we're just going to call it a day. And I was like, okay, let's see what I'm capable of. And then that's when it started.
Climbing out of that hole.
Yeah.
So you talked about your destructive childhood. I see a lot of really successful entrepreneurs that come out of really stressful, if they make it out, because most don't make it out.
A lot don't. Most don't.
The ones that do and decide to go down that pathway, the David Goggins, I could go on. What is that about on the brink of destruction and coming back, and how you kind of attack the world?
So so Goggins has talked about this. I talk about this. There's very few people that actually talk about this, and this is part of like where my recovery coaching comes into play. Is we make peace with our past, and we don't eliminate it, dismiss it, and make it and pretend like it's not there anymore. Like you go to therapy and they tell you work through your problems and then bury them. Well, if you bury them, that means they have an opportunity to be revived at the same time. That means that at some point in life there will be a certain trigger that will reawaken everything. So I knew that I had to build an alliance with my demons and make them stand the line with me. And I've had the saying as well, my angels are my guardians, my demons are my allies. Come fuck with me. And it's protected me this whole time. And so like anything that I put my mind to when it comes to like battling demons, working through my problems, or even like business or anything, that's my thought process. And David Goggins talks about live hard. He's like, live the hard life. Do the uncomfortable shit. Go through the things that make you better, bigger, stronger, and you will come out on top. But if you go down the easy route and do the things that are convenient, well, that's when you give your demons the ability to take over, and it'll take you right back to where you started. Yeah. There's a saying some people use. I've been saying this: your demons don't take days off. So to this day, like I still got to battle the shit that I went through. Like it's still there, but I've conquered it and I've learned how to manage it all. So I don't have my down days. I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody has their down days, but I'm never at a point where like I'm so depressed, like fuck, man, everything's back. And that's my thing is your demons don't take days off. That means you take no days off. Right. So every day is constant work. Every day is conscious effort into becoming better, into evolving, reading, being around the right people. I mean, that is so crucial. Like, even if we were to go back, because I don't really talk about this. I don't believe in celebrating sobriety, but I've been clean for 16 years. And if this was like in the first 2-3 years of me being sober, it's still very easy to get triggered. And if you're around the wrong people, when I say the wrong people, we're not going to talk about wrong people as far as drug addicts, but if you're just around people that still want to party, have a good time, that fun life thing, that in itself can trigger your past and bring it back to life and take you right back to where you started. And so for me, it's very crucial that I silence everybody around me that's not living a life of wanting to get to a certain destination. So most of my friends are double my age. They're, 60s up, super wealthy, and they strive on their ambitions. And that's just kind of become a part of who I am.
Yeah. So again, we have a lot of similar. I didn't have a rough childhood, but I believe that you've got to keep those painful places, demons, on the front burner to keep you motivated
100%.
to get up and to do it. I did a little dive into you a little bit, and I want to know what the 4 a.m. club is. Is that what it is?
4 a.m. club.
Yeah. And is that working out at 4 or getting up at 4? What is that?
So I wake up. So my routine starts at 2 a.m. I wake up at 2 in the morning. Again, your demons don't take days off, so I do it every day. And I wake up at 2 in the morning, and my first 90 minutes is pretty much all self-work, self-talk, self-reflecting, read, write, journal. And maybe I'll send out some emails to work for some clients, work on some client stuff before I head out. And then at 3:30, I leave the house, get into the gym at 4 a.m. and work out. And that's about 90 minutes.
I want to interrupt you there because I think that first 90 minutes is so important and so many people don't do it. Talk a little bit more about that and where did you, I know a lot of different successful people have different
routines.
Yeah, in that 90 minutes. Where did you get your influences from and how important is that to you?
That was just my thing. I started to do it about 2 years ago because I had pretty much tapped out on where my level of success was and it wasn't satisfied with it. For most people, it might have been. But for me, I definitely was unsatisfied and I wanted way more bigger things out of life. And I knew that the only way I was going to do it was if I actually restructured my time and my schedule. And I knew that if the day starts at 4 a.m. while everybody else is sleeping, I'm ahead of the game. And so then I thought to myself, okay, well, back at that time I was 34, I'm 36 now. I was like, well, it took me this long to figure this out. So I got some catching up to do to the people that are already beating me at this. So that means if I wake up 2 hours before everybody else, while people are waking up at 4 who do 4 a.m., if I wake up at 2 a.m., I have a 2-hour head start, which means at some point I'm going to catch up to these people and pass them up.
Right.
Because the compound time will add up.
Compound effect.
So the importance of it is it sets up my mindset, it sets up my spirit, it sets up my day to stack wins for the whole day. Because at that point, and that's part of where the working out comes in too, because so like if we take now from 2 o'clock till 5:30 when I finish my workout, that's 3.5 hours. That first 3.5 hours, I have stacked so many wins at that point for myself. Now I can go out and deliver it to my people and help them out. And at that point, there's so much momentum on my side. There's really not much that can pull me back, push me down, get in my way, trigger anything, disrupt my emotions. At that point, like I'm already on cloud 9 and I'm just moving at that point. You can say anything to me and it doesn't really faze me. And it's definitely, and I've taken that and I've put that into my coaching programs as well, because it's just so effective. I have seen, and the people that know me have seen such a tremendous change just since I started doing that. Wow. I feel, and I know that I'm a whole different person since the day I started doing that.
Wow.
And what's 2 years in doing that, I feel like I've gained 5 years.
Wow. Now, do you implement two things? Do you implement visualization in that 90 minutes?
Yeah.
And do you have a success story with that? And do you do a gratitude journal, or is that part of your journal?
Yeah, so that's all. So that's part of the journaling. So I'm glad you brought that up. So in that 90 minutes, so to be exact, I wake up, and the first thing is I just stay in my thoughts, and I just kind of go over everything that I'm grateful for in life: business, friends, loved ones, people I care about, clients, the abundance I've had. Like everything, I just go through my prayers of gratitude is what I call it, and I tell everyone that they should have that, regardless of which category I'm coaching them in. And self-reflecting is extremely important, and you have to be 100% honest with yourself. So if you have a shitty day, then you need to make sure that you self-reflect on that and dissect every hour of the day to figure out why it was shitty and how can you make sure it doesn't repeat itself the next day. So that's where the journaling comes in. And it's funny you ask. I'll actually read this. Someone just sent me this, and it kind of hit me a little bit. So this is one of my clients. He's like, I hired Coach Sean. It was to help me understand coaching, business, and most importantly, mental health from A to Z. Mental health and dealing with the darkness, demons, etc. from the past or present. He has helped me tremendously on understanding about wearing my story and to embrace it all. I worked on stuff in the past I thought I had under control. Come to find out, I honestly didn't have any of it under control. I was actually a prisoner in my own mind. To be honest with the world, you must be honest. To be honest with the world, you must be honest with yourself and stay true to yourself. Oh, it's awesome to have somebody like him to let you know it's okay to go to those places you come out of, because you come out of the ashes stronger and brighter. Because let's be honest, if you don't take control of yourself before you walk out that door, it takes 1 second to mess your whole life up. And that's just because you didn't look yourself into the mirror and deal with your own shit. This is what this man has done for me, letting me know that it was okay to deal with my own demons on a daily basis. I take nothing for granted. I don't take my foot off the gas pedal. I keep my foot heavy on the gas pedal, and I stay focused, and I work on it 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you take no days off. He's taught me a lot in 3 months. I'm beyond grateful to call on my mentor, my coach, and my family, my brother.
Nice.
So that's a little bit of what I do.
Right. From a client's perspective. So visualization, and from your morning practice, at least what I call it a morning practice, have you created something? Like you can say, I put it into my morning practice and then I saw it in my reality. I created it in my reality.
Yeah, I mean, this one is going to sound a little materialistic to people, but it goes so much deeper than that. So part of my visualization is doing the things that I have to do to become the person I'm supposed to be. What does that person look like? And so then I reverse engineer from there. And through that process and that journey, I believe in hitting certain milestones and rewarding yourself. And those rewards should not be something temporary that are short-lived. Like a reward to me is not let me go on a vacation. It's something that I could hold on to, that I can look at on a regular basis as a reminder, like, yo, you're on the right path, keep going. Everything that I want in life is an arm's length away. It just might be 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now.
Like your badass whip?
Yes. So like when I got it, I've had it for 3-4 months now. Prior to that, and I'm very savvy with saving, investing, putting my money in places where it works for me, long-term, short-term money. I did financial advising for about 5 years. So I kind of have a pretty good idea about what to do with money. Plus my mentors in the asset management business as well. But I was like, you know what? I want a new car. Like, I want to really put all this hard work and the 20 hours a day that I work my ass off to just work on me. I want to hold on to something now before I go after the bigger stuff. And I was debating between 2 or 3 different cars, and I decided on the Bentley. And, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to mess with the money that's already going in certain places. So I'm going to create more revenue and create another bucket for that. And so, just every single day I worked hard and I looked at the car that I wanted, and it was a constant reminder, stay on track, put the amount of money you need to put away. And, 6 months later, I bought the car.
Nice.
And, I'm already working on the next one.
It works, people. It does work. Before we get off of this topic, I want to, you just said that you work 20 hours a day. I'm not a math major, but that means 4 hours of sleep. I'm a big component of how important sleep is. We're both coaches. How do you justify short sleep and longevity?
I don't try to justify it.
Okay.
I believe in short-term sacrifices for long-term goals. I'm not going to be doing 4 hours of sleep for the rest of my life. I'm giving 5 undeniable hard years to that schedule. And by doing that, I will have every single thing I want. And it's already in the things that I've set out to want, whether it's business, financially, certain things, it's already, they've all already started. It's already in the process. So I devoted my time and here's the thing. When people try to talk about longevity and sleep, yes, there is obviously science behind it, but there are certain things that science cannot prove either.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure at some point you're going to hear, well, that's bullshit. Someone's going to say that, no, everything is science. Well, some things it's not. And at least that's my belief. That's my opinion. And for the most part, people that lack sleep and have a hard time through their day, they're living their lives differently. There's no structure to that schedule. I don't wake up tired. Tired is a bad word in my vocabulary. I don't use it. I don't wake up stressed. I don't wake up tired. I'm not stressed during the day. I'm not freaking out about getting a little bit of sleep. I'm very focused. So when I go to sleep, that 4 hours of sleep is deep REM sleep because I have 100% exhausted my mental capacity in my hours of work. So when I go to sleep, I'm out and I'm out cold. So that 4 hours, that REM sleep that I'm getting is all 4 hours that I'm out. So me getting 4 hours of REM sleep is more REM sleep than what most people get who sleep 6, 7, 8 hours.
I agree.
Right? So I wake up charged, ready, excited, fired up, and ready to kick the day in the ass.
Okay.
And that's why, and I think that's where the biggest component is setting your day up a certain way and having a certain mentality behind your schedule. That way you can control the controllables. So stress is where the lack of sleep comes in and starts to deteriorate longevity.
Yeah. You also, when you have a passion for life, which you obviously do, it's a different thing waking up. It's like you wake up excited to attack the day.
I'm excited going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So in my sleep, like my subconscious is already operating on attacking the next day. So when I wake up, like it's not like, oh man, like the only times I wake up where I feel kind of struggling a little bit is when I'm just really sore.
Right, after a big leg day.
Yeah, and those nights it's uncomfortable to sleep. But but that's how my brain operates. So when I'm waking up, it's go time.
Right.
And I have a few people that I send texts out or that I call, hey, I'll see you at 4 o'clock in the morning. Let's go. There's a few people that I'll text at 2:30 in the morning. They don't reply, but and I don't try to press anybody on it. They have to come to me and say like, hey, tell me a little bit more about the benefit of getting up so early. And I can speak for a couple of my clients, like right out the gate. They're going to surpass $200,000 for this year, just because I've instilled certain things into their mindset and putting them on that schedule where getting up early, self-reflecting, journaling, starting their day before they even start the day. And then they're in the gym, they work out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then their business starts at 5:30. Yeah. So both of these two individuals are just barely going to miss $250,000 by the end of the year. And we're talking about two individuals that went from barely even making $3,000-4,000 a month to now making over $20,000 a month.
Now these are trainers.
These two specific ones I'm referring to, yes.
Okay. Well, it's a great transition into one of the things that you do. You coach trainers and coaches. I kind of gravitate towards being a coach because I think a monkey can tell you how many reps to do.
Right.
It's all about helping someone build a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So,
and it starts with habitual conduct.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is that coaching business that you do to help trainers? I'm sure I can use some of that. So what is that business?
It's basically teaching trainers how to treat their business as a real business. Most trainers treat it as like just some fun gig. It's easy money. I like to help people out. I love to work out. I love fitness. I'm going to go make like, $5, $6, $7, $8, $10,000 a month. That's great and all. But at some point that starts to have wear and tear on you too. If you're going to be working all day long on your feet.
Trading time for energy. Time for money.
Yeah. And if you're not making what you deserve to make, that's not something you're going to last long in. Or if you do, you're going to hate it. Like I know people that have been trainers for 20 years. They're in their 40s and 50s. They look beat up. And I don't mean that in any form of insult.
Right.
But they look beat up.
Right.
It needs to be treated like a business. I'm talking contracts, legal, attorney back. Like you want to start to set certain things up because here's the thing, if you treat it like a business, your clients are going to treat you like a business. So they know that when they enter into a contract with you, they know that I'm just as legally binded to this as I am my cell phone. There's no bailing out because I feel like bailing out.
Right.
You're in a contract.
Right.
And that's just one example.
Right.
But it structures how you want to operate, when you want to operate, set your price points where it doesn't matter what the competition is charging.
Right.
I charge $200 an hour, and I've had people say like, well, so-and-so is $75. Great. You're more than welcome to go to them. Right. But if you want my time, this is my time. This is how much I cost. It's not compromisable. And that's expanded into other categories of businesses as well. And so like that's how it works for trainers. I try to help them just understand, hey, either make a decision that you're going to want to leave the fitness business or the training business at some point down the line, or make a decision to treat it like a real business. That way your customers will treat you like a business. So
what's the name of that company, and how do people contact you if they want to get involved, and do they have to be in Vegas?
They don't have to be, excuse me. They don't have to be in Vegas, because a lot of it is done through like Zoom, phone calls, or whatnot. The only ones that, for now, I'm about to expand this further, that need to be in person is on the recovery side. I have a handful of people that are phone call based only, because they're not local, and I'm about to expand that pretty soon. But sorry, it's distracting.
Yeah. Don't know what that is.
Okay. But the business name it's just my name, Sean Alexander Coaching, and I'm actually in the process of changing that right now as I'm rebuilding and restructuring my website, my business. I'm involved with the SEC right now for a publicly traded company right now. So there's a lot of things that are going on. So I'm going to plug everything under one umbrella really soon here, okay. And I'll be announcing that. Okay. But yeah, it's just people reach out. I don't really do a whole lot of marketing, not yet. I'm about to do that as well, but it's pretty much word of mouth and referrals. And I'd like to say I've done a pretty good job, with the way I operate my business. And, all I want to do is just help people really make a change in their lifestyles and make them understand you do deserve a better lifestyle than just being stuck in a rat race.
Right.
And make them understand and have a bigger, better vision that like, hey, life isn't about just making $10,000 a month. Life isn't about only helping people and not rewarding yourself at the same time. Like, you want to build a business where you reward people, but it's also going to take you somewhere in life as well. And to some people that might sound selfish, but at the end of the day, do you work to live or do you live to work? And I am 100% believer, coming from the past that I did, I'm 100% believer in dreaming and creating and developing the lifestyle that you truly want in life. And anybody can do that if they just commit hard, all in for 5 years straight. And when I say 5 years straight, I mean 5 years straight. I'm talking no partying, no going out, buckle down, head down, laser focus, blinders on, and you just go. as hard as you can. No slowing down. No bullshitting around. Milestone rewards throughout that path. Every 90 days, step away, recharge for 3-4 days, get away, get out of town, shut business off for a little bit, recharge, come back, pick up where you left off and go. And if you do it like that, you can really build whatever you want. And you give yourself clarity by doing that too.
So you have a couple coaching verticals here. You coach trainers, you coach recovery trainers or coaches?
No, I coach in the recovery, mental health sector. So addicts, alcoholics, depression, anything that falls in the mental health sector, I help with in that spectrum as well.
That's in one-on-one coaching.
That's one-on-one. Now,
you also coach trainers to build their business.
Right. So that's where the business coaching comes in. So I do fitness coaching. I have my fitness clients. I have business and mindset coaching, and then I have recovery coaching.
Got it.
And all this is tied to who I was before. So what I did was, like, a few years ago, I decided, how can I bring all my gifts to life in a business? And fitness truly saved my life. It's not just some cliche saying that a lot of people use. Like, it really saved my life. And then coming from the history of drugs and pulling myself out of it and having an understanding of human behavior, I realized, like, you know what? That's something I definitely have a gift in, and a message on how to really help people get out of a hole. My whole thing on that is destroying the stigma that's out there on people that have mental health challenges. You'll never hear me say mental illness. There's a doctor by the name of Dr. Amen. I was just telling the story last night. He has a book that's called The End of Mental Illness. And the only way that mental illness as a phrase and the stigma will be removed from society is when people stop judging those that come from troubled past or currently still are troubled. Like, if you are using, I'm not going to be like, man, Gio's mentally ill, man. Like, that shit should not exist. Because at some point, that's somehow going to come around, and you're going to hear it, and you might not know that it came from me, but that's another trigger. That's where the shame, the embarrassment, the isolation, the depression, that's what keeps people in their hole, because they're afraid of being judged, because society has created this fucked up stigma that you're a piece of shit.
Right. So I believe, and it sounds like you obviously believe because it's under your umbrella, they're all so connected. Fitness and mental health. And so
because the mental health and the mindset and the business coaching part, those clients actually get the fitness side from me as well. Right. Because it's a lot more, it costs a lot more. So that naturally has a fitness and nutrition plan tied into those two. Because on the recovery, that's where it has to start with getting healthy, because your brain is so jacked up. The part of the rewiring process is just eating healthy and working out. We gotta change those bad habits, and it starts just with that alone. Yep. And that alone, for some people, can literally change their whole world. And then same thing with the business and mindset part. So I'm a believer. Some people might not agree, but I believe to truly label yourself as successful, that means every category of your life has to be successful. Like, Gio, if you are a 10 in your physique, if you are a 10 in your relationship, and your finances are a 6, but you're happy, well, to me, that's not successful. Or let's flip it. Or if you are a 10 in your money, you make $1 million a year, you are a 10 in your relationship, you have an amazing relationship, and even though you might not care, but your physique is a 5 or a 6, you're not successful. That's for me. But that's the standard I try to build within my people as well, my clients, because to me, that's not living my ideal life, and that's not living the best version of myself either. And I try to create that standard amongst everybody that comes to me for some sort of help. Right. Because I would never want that life.
Right.
You might make some more money than me for now, but if you're not healthy in these other areas, then that's not successful and that's not healthy to me. I want all categories. So for me, spiritual-wise, church, stay close to God, whatever you believe in, finances, business, investing properly, relationships, be around people that understand and are in good relationships, and, self-work.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. Working out is just so much more than just, I want to be in shape.
Which is another great transition into the fitness industry and the fitness world of bodybuilding competitions, and how unhealthy some of the healthiest people in the world look, and how unhealthy they are, the things that they do. What do you feel about that?
Clarify the things that they do.
The things that they take, the foods that they eat, the dieting that they do, the mental mindset that they take into competitions that boomerangs and flips their world around, all that.
Yeah, so I mean, those you mentioned a few different spectrums on that. So because there's what they put in their body, and then there's the mental health side, two completely different categories. The mental health side of the bodybuilding, fitness, competition industry, man, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's really not good. People get a lot of bodybuilders get into bodybuilding because of something they went through in their childhood. A lot of people, men or female, get into competing because they want to experience, like, how far can I push my physique? But if you're not aware and you're not careful, you're very quickly going to get caught up in the vanity behind it too. It becomes very vain. It's all about how you look. It's looking at yourself in the mirror, picking yourself apart, external validations, people telling you how fucking awesome you are. And that is code red for me to help somebody out when somebody comes to me, is because I despise pretentious positivity. It's probably part of the most unhealthiest thing in the fitness industry. And this brings a lot of haters when I talk about this, but it's the truth. Like, pretentious positivity versus reality are so different. Because, like, if I'm just going to feed you surface level external positivity just to make you feel good, but we're removing the reality factor of it, you're fucked. You really are. Like, that will eventually circle back around and put you down a really bad path. And I've had clients where I took them from being in a mentally healthy place, get super fit, super healthy, and get so caught up in the mirror that they're fucked. And I have to try to pull them back out. And it's one of the things that I preach in my coaching is, do not get caught up in how you look. Do not get caught up in looking like you're a superhero. Like, you might look like one, great. Still live the way you're supposed to live. Still have the same habits. Still eat healthy. But don't get so caught up and so vain about everything being so perfect.
Right.
And don't absorb someone telling you how good you look. Like, yes, if you were to compliment me, yes, Joe, I appreciate the compliment.
Right.
But at the same time, I only give that just a speck of value. And not in a form of disrespect, but in a form of, like, I have to take it with a grain of salt. Because a compliment to just how I look is a little superficial at the same time. Not that you're coming from a superficial place.
Right.
But if I get caught up in people complimenting me, I mean, just look at where I'm leading with this. Mm-hmm. Now I need compliments. I want another compliment. I want more compliments. Now I'm going to start showing off a little bit more in the gym. I'm going to start working out in the tank top the whole time. I'm going to start showing off my butt a little bit. Like, all this stuff starts coming, and now they're constantly looking for validation and how awesome they look. And it's just, and people soak that shit in.
It's just magnified by social media.
Oh my God. It's so bad. And at some point, because if you get injured, something happens, you get sick, you start talking all this bogus crap, and you start taking yourself down that same path, and it's just a bad cycle.
Yeah.
Like, I I'm either in a polo and pants or I am in full sweats because I don't want compliments.
Yeah.
And not that I don't appreciate them, but I want to remove the intimidation factor for a lot of clients and people in business that I deal with. And I also do it to send out a message that just because you look great, it's not all about what you look like in the mirror and having to look at yourself in the mirror all the time, just from a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. So my clients that I train have to wear a sweater when I train them.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
They have to as well.
They have to. I don't care if it's fucking 200 degrees outside. They're wearing a sweater.
Okay.
Because I don't want them looking at themselves while we're working out. I want to remove that factor.
Well, it's very the word or the idea I'm thinking of is monk-like. You know, it's like the body is not driving everything. It's part of all the work. Right.
It's mental. It's internal. Working out is supposed to be about mental and internal growth. It's not supposed to be about physical. The physical appearance and getting in shape and looking good is the byproduct of what you're really working out for.
Yeah. 100%.
Right? Now, on the other spectrum, if you are 300-400 pounds and you're trying to lose weight and you want to get in shape, that's different. Because that, for someone that's 400 pounds, that is a lot of significant mental growth. I have to kick this shit to the curb. I got to kick the sweets and the ice cream and the candy to the curb. I have to eat right. I have to eat healthy. That for them is a hardcore mental battle that they have to stay disciplined 7 days a week, not cheat, not eat like crap in order to lose a couple 100 pounds because they're so heavily overweight. That for them is the mental work.
That's their addiction. Right.
Guys like for you and I, getting in shape, that's not the mental work. That's the byproduct.
Right.
That's just the result of of the effort we're putting in. But really, we're going to war with ourselves to strengthen our mind, to strengthen our discipline, to take that discipline of being healthy and carry that into our spiritual life, our family life, our business life. That's the purpose behind it. That should be the ultimate goal of why anybody works out and gets in shape.
Yeah. So back to bodybuilding, specifically speaking of the female bikini category, and I guess now the wellness category.
Okay.
And mindset and mental health of those women. And talk to me about what you think about that specific.
It's hard, man. It's a touchy subject. Man,
yeah.
People won't like it. But the thing is, unless you're really going to turn it into a career, you don't need to go on stage for someone else to tell you how you rank.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Man, like I've had clients that have come to me and I have been able to, and not with the intention of it, but I have made them realize, like, look, do you need to compete? Do you need to place first place? Do you need it for your career and long-term goals? No. Well, then let's try to reroute this a little bit. And a lot of people have said, like, dude, you're fucked up. Why would you take that away from somebody? I'm like, I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm actually bringing to life what they ultimately desire in life. And if that specific short-term goal does not align with their long-term goal, we're going to figure out a way to eliminate that.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason for you and I to do anything for today, tomorrow, for next year, if those things that we do does not align with the 36, 60-month goals in life.
Well, also women, especially the women that could, compete on that level, they're already objectified for their bodies. And they're signing up to be more objectified in probably the worst possible way you could possibly be objectified on a stage in a thong amongst people that are judging every aspect of your body.
And social media. So here's the thing too. I believe, like, if this was shit, I'm not going to drop his name because him and I have had a lot of private conversations, but he is a very, very well-known high Olympian competitor. The competition bodybuilding industry for both men and women is not what it was 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And social media wasn't even, it was life was not about social media. And yes, now if you use it for the right reasons, social media is a great tool for meeting people, networking, business, making money. It's a fantastic tool. But it's also a destroyer as well if you're caught up in external validations, pretentious positivity, pretentious compliments, and everything turns into how many likes can I get? I'm going to make posts of a certain pose and show off my ass a little bit. And you know what? If I get 10,000 likes, awesome. If I don't, what the fuck's wrong with my algorithm?
Right.
Fitness world is very dangerous right now. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to say, and people mistake me for like, why don't you like to be positive? It's like, no, I love being positive, but I like to be real. Andy Frisella talks about this. Do you want positivity or do you want reality? Because just being positive doesn't create results. Just being positive doesn't create solutions. Just being positive doesn't give you direction. You need reality. And if I just feed you a bunch of bullshit, pretentious positivity and compliments, you're going to get so caught up in that you're going to forget about the actual master plan on where you want to go in life, because you think that's going to dictate how far you go.
Yeah.
And I already know people. I have former clients that are like that too right now.
So along the fitness world and the world we live in now on social media and looking good, and there's the filters, but the other stuff that goes into the butts, the steroids, and
let's tie that in together for a second. There was a God rest his soul. There was a very well loved Olympian that was competing, very well known. I believe Canadian. I could be wrong. Great body. Internally, externally, super healthy. Not here. Was dealing with depression so hard. Like I forgot if he had written a note before he took his life or what it was, but he had all the validations in the world. Like I said, everyone loved him. I didn't know him personally, but it kind of messed me up a little bit for a couple of days. From a standpoint of, man, this is really where our fitness world is. This is the world and the bodybuilding world that I got into for the love of bodybuilding, for the love of mentally challenging yourself, is so far from what it was. And it was just sad for me to see and hear that someone that was so loved take their own life because he had so many demons that he was battling and no one knew about it, because he felt like he had to put up an image. He had to be the strong person. He had to show up for everybody else. This is me. I'm an Olympian. I'm going to battle this thing and go for the gold. And everyone looked up to him. So because of that, he dealt with his own demons by himself. And most people, like I said before, 99% of people cannot battle that shit by themselves. It's very hard. It's very hard. I am definitely fortunate and blessed that I was able to do so, but most people can't.
Yeah.
And then it just eventually eats you up to the point where it's like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you pull the trigger, And here's someone that everyone thought like super healthy, super positive, kicked ass in life, making a lot of good money. He's a top 10 Olympian.
Tortured.
Mentally, just very unfortunate. Like there was nobody that could say anything bad about this guy. And that's where the bodybuilding world is. So yeah, so then when you lead into, and that's where, don't get so caught up in just your physical appearance. It's not what it's all about. And yeah, you got drugs involved, steroids involved, a lot of unhealthy habits, a lot of bad, negative, addictive behaviors that comes from the bodybuilding world.
Yeah. And I think it even is more, with all these influencers and just, the road to social media fame is a lot attached to your body. So whatever you got to do to get those abs, I think more people than most people think are on something. What do you think?
Yeah.
At least the ones on social media.
Well, for sure. Because they see that certain people look a certain way and they're like, fuck, man, I want to look like that. Is the only way for me to do it is by getting on steroids? Okay. And then they start their first cycle. And then the thing is, like, if you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing, but there's also a premature state in doing it too. Yeah. There's a premature state in like people who start taking insulin in the bodybuilding world, because insulin is like insulin breaks the governor of your body.
It's a growth.
It's actually the most powerful anabolic to put in your body for growth. That doesn't mean go take it. Don't. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
There's pro Olympians that have died because of using insulin.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I won't drop a name, but we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay. But bringing it back down to rookies and beginners that are getting in the bodybuilding world, look, man, until you have 100% exhausted nutrition, dieting, training, rest, like your body is stopped for 6 to 12 months. Okay. You want to start looking at other things? Okay. I don't recommend it unless you absolutely need like TRT treatment, like testosterone hormonal therapy. Then, yeah, I definitely recommend that. I will tell everybody, go get your blood work done. You have to.
100%. Got it.
You know, because like even I try to tell people to stay away from drugs, to stay away from steroids. Like you don't have to do it. You don't need it. And, you know, when you go get your blood work done, if your testosterone's low, for example, or for female, if their hormones are not so balanced, okay, now it's time to look at hormonal therapy. But that would be the only time where I actually do recommend it, because I'm on hormonal therapy. I've done it. All the drugs that I did, and I did it during my years of growing up and evolving and my maturity.
Years.
Yeah, so I jacked all that up completely. Yeah. So I have to be on it. But here's the thing. I didn't even start that till I literally tapped out my body. Like I was, when I started working out, I was 145 pounds, 6'2", 145. So I looked like a pencil. And I devoted, because I had to devote all my emotional energy and my mental capacity into it to stay sober, into it, I literally maxed everything out. 7 days a week, ate right, trained right. Like, and when I say trained right, I don't mean just half-assed in your workouts. Because a lot of people say like, oh, but I've trained so hard and I don't work, and I'm not growing. Like, no, I'd be willing to bet you have not like literally taken yourself through the floor,
right?
Where you're crying or throwing up or bleeding,
right?
From training super hard,
right?
I tapped that out for 2 years, and then when I came to a halt, after 6 months, I was like, I wonder if I can even reconfigure anything. And nothing worked. So then I was like, okay, now I'm going to go get my blood work done. And I come to realize, like, dude, I got my testosterone shot. And that's when I started testosterone therapy.
Yeah. And you got your blood work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still do it. I do it every 3 months.
Yeah. It's important.
But that's also the problem with social media. They see jack dudes, and then boys, not men, boys want to start doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, I want to look like that guy. Okay. Are you training hard? Are you eating right? Are you devoted to it? Or do you still want to fuck off on the weekends and party and drink and all that stuff? Because if you do, then don't even think about touching anything.
Yeah. You've talked about this on your podcast. I've recently got into the book, It Takes What It Takes. Talk about the mental mindset of it takes what it takes to do the hard shit and to focus on your goals and what it really takes. We talked about the shortcuts of maybe steroids, but what are the things that you believe in to get to your goals?
Are you talking about physically or in life?
Both. I think they're very similar.
So first of all, you have to have, I talk about this all the time, 100% absolute like non-negotiables. You have to have a list of like 5 to 10 non-negotiables no matter what. Under any circumstances, not for a single soul on the planet, there are certain things you will not compromise. Whether it has to do with your routine, your schedule, your beliefs, your core values, your standards, like these, there are non-negotiables that you absolutely cannot, that no one can hinder. And if they try to hinder it, Bye. Kick them to the curb. They don't belong in your life. Because if they can't support you, then they're against you. And then it's having a set of core values and standards. Like, what do you want out of life? What do you expect? You know, am I doing the things I'm supposed to do to be the guy that I'm supposed to be, that I'm going to be in 5 years, that I want to be in 5 years? If I'm not, then it's time to redirect the shit that I do. You know, Andy Frisella talked about this the other day. It was actually like one of the greatest perspectives that I have ever heard. It was an analogy that he said. He's like, if my best self 10 years from now was looking at me right now, today, and actually judged and criticized and critiqued constructively my day-to-day activity, my schedule, what do I do during my free time? Would my best version of me 10 years from now look down to me and say, Sean, you're fucking killing it, like, don't change anything? Or would he say, bro, what are you fucking doing? You need to change this bullshit behavior that you got going on. You need to stop listening to people that have no business giving you advice. You need to be around the right people. Like, all these things play a huge factor. You know, that's probably one of the best. Like, when this was just this last week when he posted that, and when I saw it, I'm like, man, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that for my clients, because it's such a fantastic perspective.
Yeah.
And I've never looked at it that way.
Right.
I've always looked at it from the reverse. Like, I need to be in alignment and make sure I'm doing the things to become the guy that I'm supposed to be 5 years and 10 years from now, and then some. But to reverse it the other way around is even crazier, more impactful. If you allow yourself to view yourself that way, if you can be that cold and truthful to yourself. Most people can't. Right. Shit, most people I try to have this conversation with either look at me like I'm twisted, or say, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let's go compare bank accounts. Let's go compare businesses. Let's go compare what you do on a daily basis and what I do daily basis. Let's see who actually has so much more productivity. 7 days a week.
Right.
And then tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's look at some of my clients and what they're doing and how much they're making and how much more they actually love their current lifestyle than yours is.
Yeah. So early on in this conversation, which brings us right back to here, and what you're talking about is something you mentioned. You, as a kid, you had self-awareness. I know all the people that mentor you and the people that you read and follow all say self-awareness is so important. How does it play in your life?
It's
because that's really what that is, looking at yourself. And
so it's self-awareness and self-reflection. It's honestly, in my opinion, it is the most crucial thing to growing and getting to your next level every single day. And a lot of people throw the term next level around, and so it's become cliche, but there really is a next level if you're actually putting in the work, if you're actually willing to be honest with yourself and look at the dipshit in the mirror and say, like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I living my best self? Can I dissect my day? Can I be honest with myself? And from the minute that I woke up to the minute that I went to sleep, what did I do every single hour? Did I max those out? Or did I bullshit between 2 and 3 o'clock and bullshit between 7 and 8 because I just wanted to chill and relax?
Yeah.
It's all about becoming a peak performer. Like, high performance is what I preach to all my clients, especially the ones in business, because becoming a peak performer is the only way that you're going to get to where you want to be. All these wealthy people that everybody's heard of, Zuckerberg, Musk, Dan Pena, like, all these people talk about high performance and maximizing every hour of your day till you get to where you want to be. And then that comes with the self-reflection part. The self-awareness is being aware when you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. Being aware when your mood and your attitude and your energy shifts because somebody said something and you let it get to you, or you saw something, or you somehow redirect your energy and you're like, shit, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Let me rewind for a second and go back to where I need to be. But that also means being aware of the people that are around you too. Like, you have to be so sharp and so precise, and it's so important to be aware of those that are around you too, good and bad, because you have to know how to shield off your energy and how to shield off the people that you don't want around you, and being careful with, befriending the right people. And again, the same thing. It goes back to some people, this is going to sound negative, but it's not negative. It's reality, because that stuff eventually can wear on you.
Yeah. You've also talked about it. Many of the people we follow talk about it. Talk more about doing hard shit and being uncomfortable.
Okay. We want more water. Thank you.
Thanks.
Discomfort's the key to success in every category of your life. You want a great marriage, you want a great relationship, you two got to do some difficult stuff. You want a very successful life, you got to take the road less traveled. And that's a great book, by the way.
Yes, it is.
There's the narrow path and there's the wide path. Getting up at 2 a.m. is not easy. It doesn't matter if it's a habit for me. It's clockwork. Sometimes I don't even set the alarm clock and I wake up at 1:45. I've not set my alarm clock and I wake up at 12:30. I wake up 2.5 later and my brain's buzzing so hard that I can't fall back asleep for another hour and a half.
Right.
I've just got to get up.
Right.
But it's still not easy. It's still difficult, but it's just become habit.
Right.
And developing a certain skill set and mastering those skill sets requires doing the difficult stuff, requires you to be in a very uncomfortable situation. You have to be able to have uncomfortable conversations with yourself. You have to be able to take constructive criticism and communication from somebody else. I don't want friends that are going to tell me what I want to hear.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, pretentious positivity.
Right.
And I've been stressing that phrase actually a lot this last couple of weeks, because I'm seeing more and more of it, and it's honestly just disgusting behavior, to be honest, in my opinion. It's just feeding people the wrong message, and living a hard life. That doesn't mean being violent, being a badass. Look, fuck all that. Living a hard life is doing the things you're supposed to do on a daily basis to get to where you want to be. That's literally what that means. If that means I got to work out twice a day because I'm 400 pounds and I got to lose a couple hundred pounds, then that's what you got to do. That means I got to be disciplined with my business and I have to make X amount of phone calls every single day, then that's what I have to do. If I have to have the X amount of appointments every single day, then that's the shit you're going to have to do. It might not be comfortable. It might take time away from your family. It might take time from you wanting to have some vacation time and chill and relax and all the other bullshit that average people talk about wanting to do. Then you got to be willing to make that sacrifice. Nothing good in life comes from not making sacrifices. You have to. That's lifestyle. That's how you build lifestyle.
Yeah.
Discipline.
Yeah. Doing the things you have to do so that you can do the things you want to do.
Right. Because you can't buy time, right? At least that's what we've been told. But if you can get yourself to a position where you're making really great money, you can buy back your time. You can buy back everything, because when you're in a certain position where money is never an issue again, and you are good on all the other categories of your life, you have absolute freedom across the board.
You have time again.
That's lifestyle to me. Yeah. Freedom and everything. Freedom to me is, never having to worry about the budget that I have to have because I want to take 10 people with me to a certain vacation spot. Absolute freedom to me is being the healthiest version of myself. Absolute freedom to me is having a very close relationship with God. Absolute freedom to me is being at 100% peace with myself, my demons, my darkness, my past, and openly be willing to share that story and not giving a shit whether somebody wants to judge me or criticize me. Shit, I get judged and criticized for the things I talk about right now. And and people talk shit about me sometimes too. And the thing is, it doesn't trigger me. I know what I'm doing is setting the right example. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. I know you have some mentors in your life, and you're the type of guy that I gravitate towards because being in your presence makes me want to be better, which is really important to have.
Thank you. Yes.
If you don't have that in your life, find it, because it's really important. Who are those people in your life? Can you talk about them?
So, church and God is to some people, it's like I said, that might sound cliche. That's extremely important to me. When I'm out of town for business, that's probably the only times that it's very difficult. And I'm going to start working because I go to Texas a lot for work, and sometimes I go out to Colorado or Aspen, for that matter, for work. A little bit of luxury as well, but my spiritual life, that's number one when it comes to bettering myself. But then my direct, immediate mentor that I'm in contact with literally every single day, the man is, there's really nothing bad I can say about him. He lives the life and is the man that I want to emulate in many categories, and some things not. But the thing is, he'll tell you that I want to emulate that in Sean. And this man is double my age. But he has lived a very successful life, and he lives life on his terms and doesn't have to think about the penny that he spends, and gets to spend it with whoever he wants and spend money on whoever he wants. And has multiple successful businesses. Him and I have several different business ventures right now that are in the works. And just being around him and the conversations that we have, by default, evolve me every minute that I'm spending with him. Because I'm like, that's the type of guy I want to be like. I want to be my own version.
Right.
But be like him.
He makes you want to be better.
100%.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other people, and a couple other people are ones that are actually growing with me. We're evolving together. So we kind of, like you say, we mentor each other. We bounce ideas off each other. I might run something by him. He might run something by me. It's so important. And the thing is, like, neither one of us sugarcoats anything. So if I got to call a friend out on something and it's going to fuck them up, fine. They understand that. And vice versa. Like, my mentor has called me out on stuff that's like, oh shit, I didn't even see that coming.
Right.
I didn't even know you had that in you. But it's a reality check, and it's like, okay, I got it. Let's redirect. Those are the type of friends you want to have. And you want to have, and here's the value to that, because you don't want to have friends that are just going to, number one, obviously tell you what you want to hear, but you also don't want to have friends that really aren't going to lock it down with how straightforward and honest they are with you. I'm talking to the point where it's like, if you don't fix this, we're not going to be friends anymore.
Damn.
That to me is a real loved friendship. People that will call you on your shit and have very black and white rules and standards about it. And again, some people say, like, dude, that's just so raw. That's so ruthless. Yeah. It is, but you know what? That's how I grow. Yeah. That's how we grow, is by being put in uncomfortable situations and being told things that make us very uncomfortable. Yeah. And you can either self-victimize about it, or you can look at it as a lesson. And it's like, okay, let me try to figure this out and replan, reconfigure the pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah. So inspiring. Like I said, I know I've got some stuff to do just pulling out of this conversation. Anything else that you want to talk about to the people that are listening? How do people get in contact with you again? I'm sure the people reaching out to you to get more.
My Instagram is very easy. It's Sean_Parvi, PARVI_Alexander. That's got my email and contact information on this. So that's pretty much the easiest way to get a hold of me, whether you want to email me, message me, or DM me or whatnot. That would be the most simple way. And then through that, my new website will be on there. Should be up there within the next week as they're finishing it up. Okay. That'll be another form of way to contact me. And if there's anything that you need help with, what I do will be on there as well. The biggest thing that I try to just leave people with is always ask yourself this. And again, I say it a lot, so to some people it's going to start sounding like, it's just going to sound too common, but I always tell people, like, are you doing the things you need to be doing to become the person you're supposed to be? If you can be honest with yourself.
Drop the mic.
If you can be honest with yourself with that question every single day, success for you, whatever success to you means, is inevitable. If you can't ask yourself that question, and if you can't be honest with yourself, forget what anybody else thinks. Oh, it all comes back down to what you think of yourself, and how you view yourself and how you judge yourself. If you can't answer honestly, you're only going to get so far. So again, am I doing the things I'm supposed to be to become the person I want to be?
It's pretty simple. If you were holding a mic, that's when you would drop it.
Walk away. Peace out, y'all.
Man, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here.
People, you got to watch this whole episode. If you're not inspired by this man's conversation, you better check your pulse. Like, share, especially this episode. And until next time, Fit Fam, I'm out.
Thank you.